Hello, here's what it's like wearing a corset on a daily basis. So I don't wear a corset every single day, but I have worn one for 4 or 5 days a week for 4 or 5 years. So first off, this is the corset I normally wear on a daily basis. It's just an off-the-peg one. It wasn't made for me. I got it from one of those discount sites like Corset Deal or Corset UK, but it does have real steel in it, and it's an underbust corset, which means it fits underneath, not over the top or partway across the bust. This is a really hard-wearing piece of clothing, by the way. I got it for 30 quid like 5 years ago, and basically the only way you can tell it's been used is because it's kind of conformed to my shape over the years. I've never had to do a single repair on this thing. The reason I wear a corset is because it helps with my back when I'm standing up all day, which I have to do for my job. That's why I don't wear one every single day, because I'm not standing up all day every single day of the week. So I thought I'd let you know what I found out. Number 1, you can breathe fine in a corset. Opera singers sing in corsets. I mean, the corset isn't constricting your ribcage, really. It's like you don't want to make that part smaller. It's your waist you want to make smaller. You basically only find it's a problem if you were doing sports or if you were doing like really long notes where you need a lot of breath for singing. Otherwise, I don't even notice. 2, it doesn't make you deformed. I've been wearing it for 4 or 5 years now, and it has not changed my shape when I take it off. It just never does that. Corsets do not make your waist smaller, or at least they don't usually. You can achieve what's called a tight lacing effect if you get a corset that's cut in a certain way and you pull it really tight. And there are people who do that, but if you're wearing it every day, you're not going to want to go through that hassle. What usually happens is I lace it about as tight as a good tight hug. And if you lace it any tighter than that, you're gonna have a bad time. So I don't find that my waist size actually goes down very much, or at all, if I'm wearing a corset. Sometimes it actually goes up. Now, how is that, I hear you ask? Well, this is quite a heavy, thick garment. So even if your waist size ends up going down, that's going to be compensated for by the fact that you've got this extra thickness on you. What it does do is kind of change the shape of your waist, not necessarily the size. So in its natural state, your waist is probably kind of oval shaped. If someone looked at you from the top down, you've got your hips, which are wide at the sides and kind of flat at the front and the back. And what a corset does is make it more kind of circular. And that means you do look thinner from the front, even if you aren't really. It's just moving the flub around. And that's another reason I like wearing one, because it sort of improves your silhouette as far as I'm concerned. It improves my silhouette. I like how I look better in a corset. 3, one thing you can't really do is bend over. And that's because of what's inside the corset. Basically, the corset has these bones running down it, and you can see the channels for them here. And this is what they look like. So you've got 2 different kinds. You've got this kind, which is solid steel, and you can see it bends quite a bit, but it does not bend at all side to side. And then you've got this, what's called spring steel, and this is quite a bit more flexible, and it also bends side to side a little bit. And these are both what are used in most modern corsets. Obviously, you can't use whalebone anymore. But I am told that whalebone has a consistency a little bit like a cable tie. So if you imagine how flexible that is, that'll give you a good idea of what a historical corset was like. Now, the bones aren't really the problem. The problem is what's called the busk. This is the busk here, and this is what a busk looks like out of a corset. And they don't have to be as solid as this, but they're usually much more solid than the bones. And you can see that they bend a lot less than the bones. So it's quite hard to bend forward or to bend side to side in these things. And that brings me on to number 4, shoes before corset. It is a nightmare trying to tie your laces while in a corset, trying to reach your feet in any way, trying to put socks on, trying to put tights on. So the rule is you put your shoes on, then you put your corset on. Don't do it the other way around. There's a reason all these historical ladies had maids to dress them. Number 5, you have to wear something underneath. You cannot wear this next to your skin every single day without it getting dirty. And you can't wash this, it's got steel in it. If you try and wash it, the steel will just go rusty. So you have to have something else next to your skin to soak up all the oil from your skin. Otherwise, when you take it off, you get this really grim lacing effect in the skin on your back. It's not nice. And to be honest, you don't want steel on your bare skin anyway. That's grim. So if you ever see someone in a historical movie who is just wearing the corset, then that's not accurate. They would have always had a shirt underneath. And that's still the method I use as well. 6, it's really hard to wear tights or jeans with a corset. Modern trousers are just not cut with the idea that you're wearing a corset in mind. They're often much lower waisted than a corset is, so you'll get this kind of ridge where the bottom of your corset kind of sticks out. And with tights, because the corset kind of goes over your hips and the tights go over your hips, you kind of need to shove your hand between your skin and the corset in order to get your tights there, and then if you want to use the loo, it's just such a huge faff. Which is why historically ladies didn't wear tights. They're quite a recent thing. They wore stockings, which only come up to, above your knee, and so you don't need to worry about it. 7, it helps with backache. Okay, now this might just be me, and it might just be how I personally wear it and use it, but I stand up all day at work, and without the corset, my back kills me at the end of the day. The corset basically holds you upright because it's so solid. Like you can't slouch in this thing. It stands up by itself. Having said that, if I'm sitting, even for an hour or two, the corset makes my back pain worse. And I don't know if that's because that's what corsets do, or if that's because I slouch, or if it's because I'm not sitting in, a Victorian chair with a rigid back. I'm sitting on a sofa. But if I'm sat down for any length of time, I have to take my corset off. 8, it is kind of inconvenient in modern life. Modern life is not built around the expectation that 50% of the population will be wearing a corset anymore. So a lot of things aren't really designed for that in mind. Because, as I say, it really restricts how you can bend. It's quite difficult to do things like sit in a car with a low seat. What ends up happening is that your boobs just kind of get pushed up like a shelf, up to your eye line, and it's not very comfy. So there are some things that it's just a little bit harder to do. Like if you're coming into someone's house and you have to take your shoes off and then put them on when you get out, you can't just say, "Oh, sorry, let me go into the bathroom and take off my underwear before I take my shoes off." And of course, it's hard to do. It's hard to go to the gym at the end of the day. That's not to say you can't do sports. Historically, there were women tennis players and golf players and runners who did their sports wearing corsets, but you can't really wear them with gym clothes or lycra because the shape will just show through and it'll be super obvious what your underwear is. 9, it makes you less hungry. Now, I don't want to overstate the case here. I don't recommend a corset as a diet plan. You still need to get the same amount of calories as you do without wearing a corset. But it's harder to finish the same amount of food if you're wearing a corset, just because your stomach's got nowhere to expand to. So bloating is horrible in a corset, way worse than in normal life. And yeah, I would find it harder to finish the same portion that you get given in a restaurant if I'm wearing a corset versus if I'm not. 10, it's great for stopping waistbands cutting into you. And this is historically basically what it was used for, right? Corsets were their equivalent of bras, and they sort of held the weight of those really heavy skirts that people had. Can you imagine having 9 petticoats? That'd cut into your waist something wicked. But if you've got the corset, you've got all this steel protecting you, so it can't cut into your flesh. I hope that demystifies the corsets a little bit, makes them sound a little bit less scary. I hope next time someone says they couldn't breathe in their corset or it broke their ribs, you'll know better. And I will see you next time.